Welcome, everyone. This is the Masterclass. My name is Patricknazareth. I have around 30 years of teaching experience, and I would like to help dispel your doubts, should you have any. Today, we are going to be looking at the chapter, which is actually a play, The Book That Saved the Earth, written by Claire Boiko. Claire Boiko was born in 1924. She died comparatively recently in 2014, an American playwright who specialized in children's theater and educational drama. She wrote over 100 plays for young audiences, many featuring science fiction, fantasy, and historical themes. Her works, characterized by gentle humor, imaginative scenarios, and gentle satire. Boyko believed theatre should be both entertaining as well as educational. She used comedy to teach lessons about tolerance, critical thinking, and the power of knowledge. We all have grown up in our own community, our own region, our own culture. What happens if you take your culture and try to compare it or judge other people based on how you have been brought up? Do you think that is right? The year is 2500. It is the Museum of Ancient History, department of the 20th century on the planet Earth. An historian is sitting at the table with a music projector. The museum guide is explaining to her how, years and years back in the 21st century, people used to read books, and books used to be available on every subject under the sun. People learned from books how, when, what, where. But the biggest thing the books did in the year 2040, they stopped a Martian invasion of Earth. She is surprised that the people don't know about it. She turns on a projector which is next to her. A film begins to run. There is a person with a huge head, wearing a long robe decorated with stars and circles. He is the commander-in-chief of Mars Space Control. He is the great and mighty think tank. An attendant appears. His name is Noodle. And he asks this magnificent creature, "What are your orders?" The think tank tells him, "Learn to salute me properly. Give me my full title." Poor person starts again. The title is so long he's out of breath. What are think tank's orders? He wishes to be placed in communication with the probe that he has sent to planet Earth. His plan? To conquer Earth. He doesn't care much about it. He thinks it's a very insignificant place. But before he talks to his people over there, he wishes to consult his mirror. Who is the most fantastically, intellectually gifted being in all the land? But the mirror answers, "You, sir." Think tank slaps the mirror. "Answer faster next time." He tells his attendant, "Keep exercising your mind, and one day your brain will be as big as mine." The mighty think tank intends to have Earth under his control before he sits down for his lunch. The picture changes. It is the Centerville Public Library. There are three Martians present. Captain Omega, who's standing in the center, Lieutenant Iota at left, and Sergeant Oop in the right. They are all looking around in a confused fashion. Omega reports that they've arrived at Earth without incident. But they have no idea where they are. Judging by the thousands of books, they must be in some sort of a storage facility for these items. They have been to many galaxies across the universe, but this is the first time they have come across something like this. Maybe you put them on your head like a hat. Captain Omega asks the mighty think tank, "Perhaps you can tell us what it is." Think tank answers, "I think what you're holding in your hand is a sandwich, since Earth people are always eating." And he orders them to eat it in order to confirm his way of thinking. The captain pushes this task onto his lieutenant. The lieutenant pushes his task onto his sergeant, who is forced to eat the book for the glory of Mars. Think tank asks, "Was it delicious?" The Martian replies, "No, it was dry as dust. I wonder how they can eat it without water." Noodle interrupts that he has seen some films about these sandwiches. They are not meant to be eaten. They are used as some sort of communication devices. Think tank immediately says, "Yes, of course, that's the next thing I was going to tell them to do. They must be communication devices. Listen to them." The three are puzzled. Listen to them? They take a book in each of their hands and hold them up to their ears. Obviously, they hear nothing. They think maybe the earthlings hear a different frequency. Perhaps their ears are not sharp enough. They don't want to tell Think Tank that he has made a mistake. His attendant Noodle comes in again, saying that the earthlings don't listen to them. They watch them. Think Tank immediately changes his instructions. They are not for listening. You have to look at them with your eyes. He informs his captain to take a particularly large book and look at it. The book the captain chooses? Mother Goose. There were lines of writing in it, which the captain interprets as code. Think Tank is surprised. Perhaps earthlings are not as primitive as they thought. The code must be broken. Noodle again interrupts that their chemical department gave this to the Martians some vitamins to improve their intelligence. Think Tank says, "I order you to eat the vitamins," to the Martians in their library. They removed the vitamins and ate them. Now they can read and they start laughing. Think Tank orders them, "Tell me what you've seen." Captain Omega reads, "Mistress Mary, quite contrary, how does your garden grow? With cockle shells and silver bells and pretty maids all in a row." A simple nursery rhyme. Think Tank takes it in another way. He says, "Can you imagine the earthlings have learned how to grow things like silver and cockle shells? If they can do such a thing, they can grow high explosives too." He orders Noodle, "Contact the field. Tell them to hold off the invasion because new information has to come to light." Read the next one. Lieutenant Iota reads, "Hey diddle diddle, the cat and the fiddle, the cow jumped over the moon. The little dog laughed to see such sport, and the dish ran away with the spoon." Think Tank grows more agitated. Domestic animals have been taught such techniques? Music? How to climb into space? Even the dogs evidently have a sense of humor. They must right now be in the process of launching an attack consisting of millions of cows. "Notify the invasion fleet. There shall be no invasion today." "Go on," he tells Sergeant Oop. "Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men cannot put Humpty Dumpty together again." And there was a picture of Humpty Dumpty, which Oop turned around so that Think Tank could see it. Think Tank begins to scream, "It's a picture of him. The Earthlings have seen him. That means they're after him. They plan to capture Mars control." He orders Noodle to bring his escape capsule. He orders the invasion to stop. He orders his 3 Martians to leave immediately and not leave a trace of what they've been doing on Earth. Noodle asks him, "Where are we to go, sir?" He says, "We are going to go 100 million miles away from Earth. Order the invasion fleet to pick up all the people from the planet and go towards Alpha Centauri." The projector fades. The historian is there smiling at his audience. That is how, he tells them, one dusty book saved the world from a Martian invasion. Now we are in the 25th century, 500 years later. We are friends with Mars. And great and mighty Think Tank has been replaced by Noodle, who is wise and wonderful. He says we taught them the difference between books and sandwiches. We even established a model library in their capital called Marsopolis. But one book the Martians still do not read, still do not touch. Mother Goose. Who are the characters in the story then? The historian, a 25th century museum guide, who is a person with a sense of humor and informative. He speaks directly to us. He provides a frame narrative which reveals the final outcomes. Think Tank, the Martian commander-in-chief who looks a bit like Humpty Dumpty. He wears a long robe with stars and circles. Pompous and vain. Demands elaborate salutations, consults his mirror constantly, makes ridiculously incorrect conclusions. A cowardly person. Apprentice Noodle, Think Tank's assistant, a humble, polite Martian who is actually very intelligent. Makes even correct suggestions tentatively. He eventually becomes the ruler of Mars. Captain Omega, leader of the Earth Space Probe crew, a female officer, follows orders dutifully, passing unpleasant tasks on to subordinates, like the eating of book. She reads Mistress Mary. Lieutenant Iota, female crew member, counts the books, follows chains of command, passes eating tasks to Oop, reads Hey Diddle Diddle. Sergeant Oop, male crew member, thinks books might be hats, forced to eat part of a book. The loudest and most comical, laughs at nursery rhymes, reads Humpty Dumpty. Offstage voice responds to Think Tank's mirror, slow to answer. The settings of the story then? It's a frame story set in the 25th century, the 2400s. The main action takes place in 2040, 4 centuries before the frame story. The epilogue, 500 years after 2040, 2540s in other words. The place, Museum of Ancient History. 25th century, Department of the 20th Century on Earth. Mars Space Control, Think Tank's command center. It's got an elaborate switchboard, has a sign requiring visitors to bow. Centerville Public Library on Earth, which has card catalogs, bookcases with books, and of course the Mother Goose volume. Alpha Centauri, where the Martians flee to 100 million miles from Mars. Marsopolis, capital city of Mars. What are the literary devices in use here? Satire, the mocking of pompous authority. Think Tank's inflated ego in titles. Satirizes the misunderstanding of other cultures. Ridicules blind obedience to incompetent leaders. There is situational irony. Simple nursery rhymes defeat technologically advanced civilizations. Dramatic. The audience knows books and sandwiches and understand what the Martians don't. The great and mighty think tank is actually quite foolish, while humble apprentice Noodle is the wisest. Humor, physical comedy, eating books, listening to them, mistaking library for a refreshment stand. Verbal comedy, ridiculous misinterpretations of nursery rhymes. Situational comedy, advanced beings completely baffled by books. Foreshadowing, Noodle's correct suggestions hint that he'll eventually replace Think Tank. Think Tank's incompetence predicts his downfall. Personification, books save Earth by frightening away invaders. Metaphor, books as weapons or saviors. Knowledge as power. Symbolism, Mother Goose represents innocence and imagination defeating arrogance. Books symbolize human civilization and intelligence. Think Tank's balloon head symbolizes an inflated ego. What are the themes in this particular chapter then? Knowledge and literacy save civilization. How books and reading can protect Earth. Humility versus arrogance. Humble Noodle succeeds where pompous think tank fails. The dangers of blind obedience. Following incompetent leaders leads to disaster. Misunderstanding other cultures. Assumptions based on ignorance cause problems. The power of imagination. Simple nursery rhymes can be more powerful than weapons. That's the lesson there for you then. I do hope I have been of help. If I have, please remember to like, subscribe and share. Remember, there might be others who would be requiring our help. Thank you so much for watching.